to talk about gender. This is one of the most basic, but yet one of the most important things that we need to learn as we learn another language. So I'm going to pull up a little slideshow and then we'll talk a little bit about gender. Gender is something that really doesn't exist in English. Uh, I guess about the closest thing we can come to in English with gender is they used to name hurricanes after women, only women, but I guess a few years ago they decided that wasn't fair to just have something that's destructive and kind of moody and just name it after women. And so they started naming it after men also. But so that's not really something that we do in English. But in Spanish, gender is really important. And every single noun is assigned to either be masculine or feminine. For example, book, libro, would be assigned to be masculine. That doesn't mean that there's boy books and girl books or that only boys can use books. Uh, Another example might be silla. Silla means chair, and silla would be feminine. And again, there's not girl chairs and boy chairs, or only girls can sit on chairs. In Spanish, just every single word is assigned to be masculine or feminine. Well, I guess that's one of the problems for us that speak English as we're learning Spanish because, we don't have any experience with this. And so I'm going to give you some rules will make it really easy to determine if a word is masculine or feminine in Spanish. Okay, uh, the important way for us to tell whether a noun in Spanish is masculine or feminine is going to be the last letter of the singular word. So if we can figure out what the last letter is, we have a really good chance that we're going to be able to tell whether the word is masculine or feminine. And if the last letter of a singular word ends in L, O, N, E, R, S, what's that spell? Yep, loners. If it's any one of those last letters, you have a really good chance, a 97% chance that the word is masculine. And so I've got a few words here. Some of them you'll recognize because they're cognates, but hotel. Hotel ends in an L. And it means hotel, but since it ends in an L, it would be masculine. Amigo ends in an O. Amigo means friend. In this case, the friend would be masculine. Examen. Examen means exam, but it ends in the letter N, and it is masculine. Garaje means garage. It ends in the letter E. Garaje is masculine. Motor. It ends in the letter R. Motor means motor, and motor is masculine. Autobus ends in the letter S. Autobus means bus, and it is masculine. And so Loners, if the noun ends in those letters, then you have a really good chance knowing that it's masculine. Even if you don't know what the word means, you should have a pretty good idea to knowing whether it is masculine. Now it says 97% of the time. That does mean that every once in a while, 3% of the time, there will be a word that ends in L or O or N, ER or S, loners, and it does not follow the rule. Well, anytime that I'm teaching you a lesson, then I will make sure that you know that it doesn't follow this rule. Well, let's talk about words that are feminine. Okay, a word that is feminine, the last letter of the singular word would end in the letter D. I-O-N, okay, accent over the O, Z, and A. Well, let's go back to I-O-N. A minute ago, we said that if it ended in an N, that it'd be masculine. Well, if the last three letters are I-O-N, well, then it will not be masculine, it'll be feminine. Okay, now I don't have a cute little word for this. It's dionsa. Okay, it's not like loners to help us remember, but D-I-O-N-Z or A. Well, we'll even have a better chance that that word is feminine. In fact, there's a 98% chance that it's feminine. So if you see the word ciudad, it ends in a D, means city. and city would be assigned to be feminine. Televisión ends in an N, but it is an ION, so ION is going to be feminine, and that is television. Actriz ends in the letter Z, and letter Z would make it feminine. That means actress. Cosa ends in the letter A, and so it would be feminine. Again, D, ION, Z, or A, if it ends in those letters, it should be feminine. That there is a 2% chance that it'll end in one of those letters, and it won't be. So it's not a 100% rule, but we're getting really close. And if you ever have to make a guess on it, well, I would always stick with the rule. Loners and Dionsa. Okay, so what I have now, whoops, let's go back here. I'm going to get out of this screen because I want to bring up some words where we can practice and we can decide whether it is masculine or feminine. And so I'm going to bring up another screen. On this screen, I have a bunch of words in Spanish, and I want you, as we look at the list, you can see I have some words that are in bold. If it's in bold, that means the word's a cognate, and not so much helping you with the gender, masculine or feminine, but I'm helping you with the vocabulary. If it is in bold, well, it looks like a word that's in English. If it is in regular print, then that would be a word that is a high-frequency word that you would normally learn in a first-year Spanish class. If I have it in blue, that means it would be a word that might be not as commonly used, and so you'd probably learn that in your second or other subsequent levels of study. Okay, but what we're working on today is we're deciding if the word is masculine or feminine. Okay, remember our rules? Loners, loners, that's going to be masculine. Dionz or A, dionsa, that word has a really good chance of being feminine. Now, you're going to also notice that there are a couple places where I put a little asterisks. The asterisk means that this is one of those 2 or 3% of the time where the word doesn't end and is not going to be follow the rule that we had. And so I'll make sure to point that out anytime, again, that I'm giving a lesson. I'll probably put a little asterisk there to help us know that. But here we go. We ought to be able to go really fast and decide whether the word is masculine or feminine, even if we don't know what the word means. Actor ends in an R. That's masculine. Well, let's go over here and I'll put an M. Actriz ends in a Z, so it'd be feminine. Amigo ends in an O. Loners would be masculine. Autobus ends in an S. What is it? Yep, masculine. Barril ends in an L. What is it? Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back. Barril ends in an L. It would be masculine. Cactus ends in an S. Masculine. Canción, it ends in an N, but it is an ION. Therefore, canción would be feminine. Carbón ends in an N, and that would be masculine. Ciudad ends in a D. Whoops, went too far. That would make the word feminine. Clase, whoops, notice we got a little asterisk there. It ends in an E. We think it would normally be masculine, loners, but it really isn't. It is feminine. And so, and what do? We're gonna have to memorize those ones that the 2 or 3% of the time that they don't follow the rule. And so just by experience with the language, we'll get so that we know that they are. So clase is feminine. Corazón ends in an N. It would be masculine. Cosa ends in an A. It would be feminine. Okay, let's go down the list one more time. Actor is actor. Actriz would be an actress. Amigos, a friend. Autobus is a bus. Barril would be a barrel. Cactus would be a cactus. Canción would be a song. Carbón would be coal. Ciudad would be a city. Clase would be a class. Corazón is a heart. And cosa is a thing. And again, in English, we don't have words that are masculine or feminine, that much. They're not assigned. But in Spanish, every single noun is assigned to do that. Let's go to the second column. We have dia. It ends in an A, and we would think it would normally be feminine, but look, I put a little asterisk there. That tells us it is not going to follow the rule. It's one of the exceptions to the rule. So that would be masculine. Estante ends in an E, masculine. Examen ends in an N, masculine. Ferrocarril ends in an M, masculine. Photo ends in an O, and you notice a little asterisk, and so it's going to be feminine. Well, I can explain this word a little bit better because photo is the word we use for photo, just like in English we have photo and photograph. Well, the word for photograph is photografia. Fotografia, and you see fotografia ends in the letter A. And since photo is a shortened form of the word photo, it really does mean fotografia. That's why that word is feminine. Okay, so that one, I can give you an explanation for that. Garaje ends in an E. That would be masculine. Whoops, too far again. Hijo ends in an O. Masculine. Hogar ends in an R. Masculine. Hotel ends in an L. Masculine. Luz ends in a Z. That would make it feminine. Mano ends in an O, and that one should have an asterisk also. Mano ends in an O, but it is feminine. And we just have to memorize that. Mesa ends in an A. That would make it feminine. Okay, let's go back. Let's see what the words mean. Dia is day. Estante would be like a bookshelf. Examen would be an exam. Ferrocarril would be railroad. Photo, short for fotografia, would be a photograph or a photo. Garage is a garage. Hijo is son. Hogar would be a home or a house. Hotel would be a hotel. Luz would be a light. Mano is a hand. And mesa, table. Okay, I guess let's do the last column. Last column, we have modelo, masculine. Whoops, I guess I can't go that far. I just bought a couple of them. Momento ends in an O, masculine. Motor ends in an R, masculine. Nariz ends in a Z. That would make it feminine. Pared ends in a D, makes it feminine. Pena ends in an A, make it feminine. Perfume ends in an E, make it masculine. Reloj. Okay, I put a little asterisk next to reloj because you notice it ends in the letter J. Well, that we didn't have a J with loners, L-O-N-E-R-S, or dionza, D-I-O-N-Z, or A. Well, almost all words in Spanish end in either L-O-N-E-R-S or dionza. Reloj is kind of an exception, and so that would be one we'd have to memorize. And I really can't think of another word in Spanish that ends in a J. Reloj actually is masculine. Televisión ends in an N, but it's an I-O-N. That would make it feminine. Tiempo ends in an O. That'd make it masculine. Vacación ends in an N, but it's an I-O-N, so that'd make it feminine. Finally, our last word, voluntad, ends in a D. That would make it feminine. Okay, modelo is a model. Momento is a moment. Motor is a motor. Nariz, nose. Pared is a wall. Pena would be a pane. Perfume is perfume. Reloj is a watch or a clock. Televisión is a television. Tiempo is time, or sometimes they use it to mean weather. Vacación is a vacation, and voluntad is will, like that's my will to do something. Okay, so we've had a list of a whole bunch of words. There's probably a lot of words that you know you could figure out what they were, but a lot of them you didn't know what they meant. But it really doesn't matter if we know that Loners, the word is probably going to be masculine. If it's Dinz or A, the word is probably going to be feminine. Okay, let me go back to the slideshow. I just have a couple more slides I want to share you pertaining to gender. So, change screens. We're back here. Okay, finally, uh, I teach lessons online, Spanish lessons, and we practice gender in our lessons each week with my Spanish classes that I teach that are based on jokes. In other words, we learn Spanish by uh, learning good, clean jokes that are in Spanish. And I promise you, if you take that class on jokes, uh, pretty soon you will be really good with masculine and feminine, and you'll laugh a lot. Uh, Last slide. Here are the Spanish classes that I teach online. I have a class on proverbs or short thoughts, and that's a free class, and I do it 5 days a week. And every day you would get a proverb or a short thought in Spanish, and we'd figure out some vocabulary and we'd figure out what the proverb or that thought meant. I also have free classes that I teach on culture. I've lived in Argentina and Costa Rica, and I visited Spain and Mexico and Peru and Ecuador and, well, lots of different places. And so I have some culture classes that every once in a while I share, and those also are free. If you want to take a class based on jokes, that would be more of a beginning level to an intermediate level. It would end up being like 50 cents per lesson, and you would get 5 lessons per week based on the joke. And so we'd learn about the joke, but we'd also learn the normal principles that you would learn in a first level class. And the same thing, I have a class that is based on songs, popular songs in the Spanish speaking world. That's also a beginning level to an intermediate level. It's also 50 cents a lesson, and also each week there would be 5 lessons going with the song. I have also a class on short videos. These short videos would be in an intermediate level because you would have to know some vocabulary to start to get by with it, because these are going to be videos made by native speakers in all of the different Spanish speaking countries on a specific lesson or topic that they're talking about, that they're interested in, a certain little theme. And these videos would be 3 to 5 minutes long, and you'd learn something from them, but it's kind of where you're practicing listening to a native speaker quite a bit. Finally, I have another class that I do with short stories. These are usually fun stories written by native speakers. Probably you'd need to be about an intermediate level. You need to build up some vocabulary in order to understand the stories. But with each lesson, I work with vocabulary, and I promise that I make sure that you understand what the story is. And the videos and the stories would be based on about 75 cents per lesson, and you'd get 5 lessons per week on the video and the short story. Well, if you're interested in these, the free classes or any of the other classes, if you want to start learning the Spanish and getting good at building your vocabulary and learning the grammar, if you go to www.spanishmadefun.com, there's a place where you can sign up for the free classes or the other classes. Well, thank you so much. And today we learned gender. And once again, how do we know if a word is masculine? Yep, chances are it's going to be end in Loners. And how do we know if a word is feminine in Spanish? Well, chances are it'll end in D, I-O-N, Z, or A. Bueno, hasta la próxima lección. See you at the next lesson. Adios.